want to take that next 10 minutes. I want to be very specific and show you what this vision is all about. I showed you here, obey God and serve people. This is what the revelation that I received a few years ago, and it hit me really hard. That God kept telling me, yes, Sergey, do you love me? And I keep saying, Lord, I do. Just like Peter, just like Peter. Lord, Sergey, do you love me? And I keep saying, yes, I do. And he kept telling me, you should be doing something for my kingdom. You should be doing so. Am I not doing enough? So I've been in ministry for a while. And so am I not doing enough? And he says, no, I have something more for you. I have something more for you. And I keep telling myself, but I'm not good enough for it, or I'm not qualified, or maybe someone else should do it, just like Moses and in those days. And so, but at one time, God decided to reveal himself to me, and then that's the vision. He showed up to me. When he showed the vision, I didn't know what to do with it, honestly, to begin with. And I had to really, put it in the words, really work on it. And God kept speaking to me, and I didn't know what was it all about. Until the point to where I said, God, I'm going to fully submit. I'm just going to fully submit and be obedient. And you lead me. And he... Apparently what I didn't know then, that I know now, that God wouldn't show you everything, the rest of your life. He just will show you that next step, and that you need to be obedient to take that step so he can show you the next step. So soft launch in our visionary dinner is all about this next step, that we're obediently following God today as a team and myself. And so I told God, I'm gonna be obedient. And what he said to me, be obedient to me and serve others. Just serve others, serve people. Be obedient to me every time I'm going to lead you, open the door, show up, you be obedient to me, and then through that, serve people. Just serve everyone around you. And so that's exactly what we've decided to do. And the way God led us to, as a team, it wasn't just me. I didn't realize that there was a group of people. God was also preparing and speaking the same thing. Be obedient to me and then serve my kingdom. Be obedient to me. And then God gathered together a group of us, and we gathered together and we said, what should we do? How can we, extend and then grow and then build the kingdom of God? And that's where the church planting idea came along. We kept praying, and I kept sharing with my team that this is what God's telling me to do. And so there's 5 pillars He've opened to me. He said, those are the things that you should really focus on when we're gonna be serving other people, when you're gonna be obedient to me and serving other people. This is some of the things that you definitely have to not only be focused on, that this is the things you should do. You should do those 5, and that's it. And that's where I'm going to show up in the midst. So the first thing he showed it to me, says evangelism. And this word evangelism are so much used now that has even like a kind of a bad name to it. So everyone is even afraid to use it. I specifically decided that I'm going to use that name. The reason why is because I think it's full on is so true now that we do not look at, we want to name something else what's really are. And it is evangelism, exactly what we do. What we should be doing as a church, we should be, proclaiming the good news. And the primary way we're looking to evangelize is our Sunday service. We want to use our Sunday service to evangelize. We're going to expand as much as we can on that, and we're going to use our Sunday service. And the idea of it on Sunday service, that everyone comes and experience grace of Jesus. We want people to get to know Jesus, and we want them to experience His grace on Sunday service. Because it's to me, every day when I experience the grace of Jesus, I know that everything that Yuri said, I'm worthy, I am called, I am He is my King, I am His, and it just makes sense. My life shows up to be so great. Of course, we're going to use more than just Sunday service, but Sunday service is going to be our main purpose and reason how we're going to evangelize. Through that, we want to let people know about Jesus, and we want them to experience grace. We're also going to do things like healing services, and we're going to do community outreach and all those things. But besides that, our main focus will be Sunday service. Second thing God showed me is it's people. It's people. He said that people is so important. He says everything that you can do and anything, you can lose money. Money doesn't matter to me. Building people is what is important to me. Just keep pointing out that people are so important to me. Souls are so important. Focus on souls. And when it came to understand this particular point, I realized that these days, especially in the culture that we're living, people do not see that they have the ability to live a life of freedom or have the faith that they can be free and live a life of freedom. So our goal to focus on helping people, understand that the life of freedom is possible. The life of freedom is possible. And we want to be able to let people know about Jesus, to have them experience the grace of Jesus, and that the freedom that they can experience, every one of us can experience that freedom and should experience and live a life of freedom when we come and enter the kingdom of God. Of course, when it comes to people, we want to be able to, after they find freedom, we want to help them grow. So we have things like Growth Track. Obviously, we're going to have some discipleship programs like Rooted, mission groups. And we believe that God has brought us together so we can grow in our faith together. I don't know if I can hear a testimony that says that, hey, there's freedom available through someone that I never met. But when I hear that life of freedom is available and possible through someone that I personally met, and they explained to me how they went through this life of struggle, and eventually, because they get to experience grace of Jesus and know Jesus, they started to live free of things, of addiction, of sin and burden, and they became free, and now that's what they're doing. They're living this kind of life. It's more impactful to me, and I want to be the same person to impact others because God gave me that opportunity. So a goal of our team is to share that as well. So the third thing God showed us is team. Team is really, and something that it kind of confirmed when I started working with Pastor Joe here at Life Center. He keeps saying this one thing that kept getting stuck in my head, and it's really, really kind of emphasized on me really strongly. When it came to understanding the team, Christianity is a team sport. Christianity is a team sport. It's better to do it together. It is better to do it together. So I've never thought of myself leading a church or pastoring the church by myself. Never even look into it thinking that I'm going to be doing it by myself. There's no way. What I've thought of is that if I ever, and God ever leads me to this idea, that there will be a team of people. And that team of people will know that there's a purpose that they have for their life. That God has a purpose for their life. And that purpose is what He wants them to fulfill, because living a life of purpose is probably the most amazing thing you can ever do to yourself. Nothing better than that. I've experienced it myself. So if I can convince you in your life right now to say, God, if God revealed to you your purpose, you're not living that out yet, you should focus on that, and God is calling you to focus on that because He's going to lead you there, and your life will be the most fulfilled specifically in that. So team, when it comes to team, we believe that church is better when we're together, and it's better if we do it together. God has a purpose for everyone, and He wants us to live a life of purpose. We also want to, through Growth Track, through discipleship program, we want to help people find their purpose and make it different. We want them to find their purpose and make it different in this world, in the community, because that's what we were made for. The fourth thing God showed us is message. Message is important to Jesus, because when His message was consistent, it was important when He came and He wanted to deliver a specific message. In John 1, it talks about Jesus coming over, and He was full of grace and full of truth. And that message of truth was consistent. It was consistent. That message of grace, the gospel message, consistent, that the kingdom of God is here and now, and it is available, and everyone should enter, and everyone should be part of the kingdom of God. And so for us, I believe that message for the church and for the people now needs to be relevant. Definitely needs to be challenging my faith, your faith, to grow, to experience God. Of course, it should definitely be empowering and definitely gospel focused, to where the truth consistently repeated. Because, okay, I might know the truth, right? But I might not yet at this point believe it. Now, I might know the truth, might believe it, but I have not stepped in to start living that out, fulfilling it. I might know the truth, I might believe it, and I'm living it through. And now that I'm seeing the result of that truth, my life is transformed. Because that revelation, okay, got synced into my soul and into my heart and then transformed me out. And now the fruits are obviously there and we can't deny them because God's message is so powerful. None of us would be here if we didn't receive that truth and that revelation ourselves. We're all here because of that. Because that truth and that revelation synced in and became that to us and then transformed our life. And we became followers of Jesus, and He sent us to do His will and fulfill His purpose. And the last one is generosity. Generosity, we've called it many different names in the beginning. We thought, what should we call it? And generosity became a word that we decided to use. And the reason why is because it is better to give than to receive. We believe in that as a fundamental, because every time you give something out, whether it's time, whether it's your love, to your kids, to your spouse, to your neighbor, to anyone around you, you are receiving something back. You're experiencing something that you've never experienced. So our goal is to show people that this is what Jesus did. He gave Himself out, and through that, He received so much more. And that's why He said, He's going to look so proudly on the work that He has done, because He has given Himself knowing that He's going to receive in return so much more, and that's us. So as He trained us, He showed us the example. We want to follow that example and be able to be generous and teach people to be generous in life, just because that principle itself brings such a blessing into your own life. We live in the country that possesses the most of the finances and money of the world. We are the one who have received the blessings already. We have it. It is in our hands. We can either learn to be generous in our life just like Jesus was, or we can withhold it and be selfish and thinking that this is all to us and keep this to ourselves and never reap the benefit of a generosity or generous heart. But if we want to, this is exactly the message that God has been giving us and showing it to us. A couple of more things. Those are the 5 pillars, right? 5 major pillars: evangelism, people, team. We want people to message and generosity. A couple of things about culture. Really, one thing about culture. When I thought about culture, and I keep hearing this, I've talked to pastors about church planting, and it so excites me. Every time I hear it, it brings me this. My heart starts pounding. And the message that I keep hearing is culture. Culture, build your culture. Know that there is a culture that you have to have in your church. Something about culture became so important. And I'm thinking, what is the culture of the kingdom of God? What is the culture of the kingdom? What was the culture of Jesus? And so I started researching, looking into it, and I realized that for Jesus, everyone was equally valued. When I realized that, it was another revelation. It sank into my heart, and now it's transforming my heart and my life, because I believe this is to be true. Everyone is equally valued in God's kingdom. And when we are living that out every single day, Jesus is in the midst of us just because of that, because He's the one who brought that culture here among us in His church. He's the one who built it. Of course, out of that vision and out of that culture, mission statement came out to be. We didn't know what to do with the mission statement, but this is what came out to be out of the mission statement. And it's simply grace, freedom, kingdom. We want people to experience grace. We know that everyone can and should experience grace of Jesus because it's so amazing. When we experience it, then we step into that purpose. When we experience it, then we have the access to the kingdom of God and the power to be free. And when we have the freedom to act, to live a life of freedom, then we have the ability to enter the kingdom of God and fulfill His purpose. And it can be done here today and now.